So do we Upstart first, or do we Duality first? That is the question.
What about ROTA?
Hey everyone, Nishi from MST.TV here. In this video, we're going to be discussing the order of the cards that you should be activating in your turn when you hold different cards such as Upstart Goblin, Pot of Duality, or generic or theme-specific searchers such as Satellarknight Deneb or Reinforcements of the Army. So the first case we're going to go over is when you hold Upstart Goblin and a searcher in your hand. And this really depends on the type of deck that you're playing. So in our first example, in Evil Swarm, it's definitely advantageous for you to activate Reinforcements of the Army before Upstart Goblin. Reinforcements of the Army can only get you one possible target in the deck, Evil Swarm Caster. So if you activate Reinforcements of the Army first, you're guaranteeing that you won't draw that specific copy with Upstart Goblin. Sure, you play 3 Caster in the deck, so it's still possible, but the chances of you drawing multiple copies of Evil Swarm Caster are definitely lowered. However, if you were to activate Upstart Goblin first, then you might draw into the Evil Swarm Caster, and if you only want one copy, or if that Evil Swarm Caster is the only copy left in your deck, then Reinforcements of the Army becomes a less valuable card. However, in comparison, in a deck such as Satellarknights, it's definitely better for you to activate Upstart Goblin before you activate Reinforcements of the Army. So suppose you have no Satellarknight monsters in hand, and generally Satellarknight players want Deneb or Altair, maybe a Nulka if you have a couple copies of Call of the Haunted already. So in this case, you want to activate Upstart Goblin first, because there are so many different possible targets for you to have. So you activate Upstart Goblin, see what it gets you, and then using Reinforcements of the Army, you can get the combo piece that you didn't already get from Upstart Goblin. So in summary, if you have multiple targets for the same searcher, you should probably activate Upstart Goblin first, but if you only have the one target, then you should be activating your specific searcher first. So the next case is where you have both Upstart Goblin and Pot of Duality in your hand at the same time, and you're trying to decide which one it is that you want to activate first. In most cases, you're going to want to activate Upstart Goblin, because when you activate Upstart Goblin, you draw a card, and that card is a card that you will not be seeing off of Pot of Duality. If you activate Pot of Duality first, then you're revealing 3 cards and you're putting 2 cards back into the deck. And there's a possibility that you will see that card again if you activate Upstart Goblin after. By activating Upstart Goblin first, you're effectively getting to see 4 cards into your deck rather than 3 or possibly even 2. Furthermore, by activating Upstart Goblin first, in a lot of different combo-oriented decks, by activating Upstart Goblin, you can see the card that you draw, and from there you can activate Duality, and you pick a piece that matches with the card that you drew off of Upstart Goblin. So in order to illustrate this example, we're going to look at Qliphorts before they got destroyed on the ban list. So when they still had 3 Sacrifice and 3 Scout. So let's say you activate Duality first. Now if you Duality and you reveal, say, a Carrier, a Helix, and a Sacrifice, and you elect to add the Sacrifice to your hand, and you activate Upstart Goblin after, now when you activate Upstart, you're effectively praying that the next card you draw will synergize with the card that you've already added to your hand. However, in contrast, if I activate Upstart Goblin first, and I see that I've added a Sacrifice, now it allows me to make a more educated decision as to what card I add off of Pot of Duality. That is, if I drew Sacrifice off of Upstart Goblin, then I'd be more inclined to add a monster, whereas if I drew a monster off of Upstart Goblin, I'd be more inclined to add Sacrifice. So it is important to take one notable exception to activating Upstart Goblin before Duality, and that is if you can go for game. So generally, if your opponent, say, has 1200 life points and you have a Satellarknight Deneb in hand, you wouldn't want to activate Upstart Goblin, because that's lowering your ability to win the game that turn. So the final scenario that I want to go over is when you have a searching card versus Pot of Duality. And this is going to vary very similarly to when we discussed Upstart versus a specific searcher, where it depends on how many different targets you have for the searcher in question. So again, if you're running a searcher that only has one valid target, then I'd highly recommend that you use the searcher first, as it mitigates the chances of you revealing that card off of Pot of Duality, and it lets you add a card that better suits what you're able to do. However, if there are a lot of different cards that you could be searching for, then you'd want to activate Duality first. You activate Duality, see what cards you have the option to add to your hand, and you select one of them, and then you can activate the searcher for the missing piece of the puzzle. Alright guys, that's it for this video. If you guys have any other situations that you guys want to ask us about, you guys can message us on Facebook or leave a comment down below, and we'll be sure to get back to you guys as soon as possible. Aside from that, make sure that you guys thumbs up this video, and if you want to see more, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. Until next time, make sure that you guys hold on to your MSTs.TV.